Chris did. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Last but not least, offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach Dave Patenaude. We'll open it right up for questions for Coach Patenaude. Rod, you want to start?
Coach Collins talked after the game about Jordan Yates and embraces everything that is good about the program, and so on and so forth. What was your evaluation of how he played in the game?
Super wired into what we were doing, great energy, ran the ball fantastic, made a boneheaded mistake throwing the ball in the red zone. He owns that, throws a pick in the red zone. So can't have that. We got to be able to protect the ball. Um, and saw the field well, threw it around. The thing that he brings is, he brings a great spirit, work ethic, preparation, energy, he played well. He just, we missed a couple throws, but that's going to be any quarterback in any game. And, he handles himself well. He's got great presence. He doesn't get flustered. Even after he threw the pick, he came to the sideline and said, "My bad." The thing that you're going to get with Jordan is there were 6 or 7 other times in the game where he pump faked the kid, threw one under his arm, ran around, that we came out on a naked. The defensive end pinned us back in. He gave like a pump fake, ran for 10 yards, so that's part of his game, and so, the biggest thing with him is just saying, listen, man, you got to take care of the ball and reserve the right to kick it, and other than that, go out and do your thing, right? Because that's what makes him special. That's what makes him, be able to do the things that he does. He makes some throws that I don't even know where he comes from. Like sidearm around the back, I don't necessarily tell him to do that, but that's who he is. That's what his game is, and you got to let him be him.
Your offensive lines kind of look like a mash unit most of this season, and getting to the point where you're even thin on bodies now in terms of scholarship guys. Just how do you approach that as an offensive coordinator? How much does it change what you do? And then not having Jeff too, and not having that RPO as a dynamic of an RPO weapon, how much does that change what you do as well?
Well, it changes. You have to figure out who you have and what their skill set is. And we talk about all the time that everything starts up front. And what are you able to do? What are you capable of doing? We're mixing and matching, and you put your plan in, and you say, okay, based on this plan, these are the things that you're going to call or not call. And then really during the course of the game, there hasn't been very many situations where we've said, hey, we can't run this play. It's like, all right, these guys are in. They're been around. They've been practicing. They've been doing their thing. This is still the best play to run versus what they're doing. And, the challenge has to always be, hey, get your hat on a dude and hold on to him and push him out of the way, or, that type of thing. So I don't think it's ever been to the point where, there was a few times our first couple of years where we were like, we cannot drop back pass, right? So we have to fabricate ways to do other things because that just wasn't a skill set for us. But right now, we may say, hey, we have to stay out of this, or we have to help here a little bit more, or maybe put a tight end in and chip a little bit more, or whatever. But my hat is off to those guys because they battle. They battle, man, and they prepare, and they're a great group of kids, and they fight. And they believe in what they're doing, and Brent brings toughness with them, and there's no BS, right? There's no like, well, this guy's hurt or that guy's hurt or whatever. It's like, right, next man up. This is what the plan is. Understand the plan and go out and try and play as violently as you can. And that's the law of the land up front. And those guys, have been, they've been warriors. So my hat is off to those guys, what they do every week.
With Jordan, would taking more deep shots, is that something you'd want to do with him?
With Jordan?
Yeah.
Yeah, again, it comes back to what is this defense doing, and these guys this past week were more of a cover 3 team, and they were just bailing the corners out of there. And we called a few shots, and we got we gave up a sack on one. We missed on a couple, but you're always going to have to be able to get people off of you, right? And the best player on the field is the kid standing back there at 8 yards. So every eye is on that kid, and you have to be able to get people off of you. You know what I mean? You have to be able to take your shots and put it over the top. And, you know, it's a little bit different if you're playing a team that's playing a lot of man-free coverage and you have access to one-on-one throws. It's a little bit different as opposed to these guys were going to overload the box, but their corners were bailing. So it's, you know, sometimes it's a little bit tougher to just get the ball over their head. So, you know, a lot of these times you have to be able to throw it in a flat, hope you're going to break one, you know, screen it, throw the bubbles, you know, throw the edge stuff, get the ball to Jamar on the edge, that type of thing, and hope that you're popping one because, you know, their approach was, hey, we're just going to try to keep everything in front of us and make you grind the field.
What do you see from Notre Dame defensively, and does anything change with it being cold? I mean, I think it's going to be in the 30s probably, but does that change anything you do?
I'm
Or
gonna put a winter hat on, not a baseball hat. That's about the biggest difference. No, I mean, you know, unless it's snowing, you know what I mean, that type of thing. I mean, it's, you know, it's cold. It was, you know, it was actually fairly chilly the other night when we played. So Notre Dame, you know, when you look at teams defensively, you say, okay, what's the scheme? What's the personnel? What's the scheme? What's the personnel? What's the challenge of what they do and who's doing it? A lot of teams have a really cool scheme. They do a lot of really good stuff. Their players are good players. Then you have teams that you know you think you can mess with a little bit schematically, and they have great players, and they just run people down and they do things. These guys are both, right? I mean, they're the best mix of 3 and 4 down defenses, and they have really good personnel. You know, there's a reason why they're a top 10 team. And but that being said, you know, they're averaging over 4 yards a carry over the last 4 games. So we have to do our thing, right? You got to do your thing, and you got to do it the best way you can based on what you see. And some of the runs that were great against Virginia or Tech or Pitt may not be the best runs or the best throws this week. And you find what the best plan is each week, and you go out and you try to execute those plays against that defense, you know, and they're really good up front. The linebackers are stout. They fill gaps. They play a lot of man coverage. They're athletic. They're fast on the back end. They're a good team. They're a good challenge. But, you know, our guys never really worry about it, you know. We just kind of say, listen, this is what they do. This is who they are. Let's do us. Let's not worry about them so much. And, you know, let's go up there with a bad mentality. Like, you know, let's go take the fight to them. Let's attack them. Let's not be like, you know, oh my God, it's Notre Dame or whatever. It's like, this is who we're playing. This is the next one up. And our goal every week is to be 1-0. So, you know, I give our guys an amazing amount of credit for going out there and battling every week, regardless of who we're playing, with a totally great energy, positive fight. You know, this group of dudes has more of that than probably any team I've been around in a long, long time.
Ryan Johnson is coming down to his last couple of games. What has he meant to the program, the offensive line, you know, with his ability to, you know, play inside, move outside, that type of thing in his leadership?
He's been a rock in there, right? He practices every day. He plays every day. He plays hurt. He plays different positions. He has just a great mindset for playing college football, loves everything that goes with being a college football player. He's a really positive energy, you know. In this world of negativity that we're in, he never brings it. There's never a bad day, you know. He might have an aw shucks moment, you know, but he's rock solid. You know, he's played a lot of football. His body He's got bandages on every piece of his body, and he's limping, but his mindset never changes. His work ethic, his approach, his ability to prepare mentally, physically, emotionally, to prepare to go out there again and do it all over again is super, and that's contagious, right? And that's contagious, and he brings a positive energy to the building, you know. And yes, he's an older guy. Yes, he's mature. You know, he brings the life lessons. But those are the things that nobody ever sees. You know, nobody ever sees the things that go on in a building, in a locker room, that build a team, that build a culture, and they're built around players like Ryan Johnson, who have total positive energy and a total love for what's going on in this football program, and they bring that to the other kids. So when everybody else wants to be negative, when everybody else wants to, you know, cast shadows on what happens, kids like that bring you together. And that's why we do what we do. You know, for kids like that who absolutely sell their souls to wear this jersey, and and have a 4.0 in engineering. I mean, come on. You know, at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. This isn't professional football, right? We're building kids, and it's kids like that keep you coming back and keep the energy in what we're doing.
Ken, and then we'll wrap up with Kelly.
We probably should ask about Jamar.
Yeah, he's pretty
He's
good.
doing all right, yeah. First, I guess, kind of what have you appreciated most about this run that he's on? And then second, you know, I guess the challenge always is how do we get him the ball more? Is there an optimal number? And just kind of how do you try to figure out ways to incorporate even more?
Well, what I appreciate is when he breaks those long runs, I don't have to call any other plays. So it's that part of it's really good. He's just growing up. He's growing up. He's maturing. He's such an unassuming, great player. Great running back. Great kick returner. Totally unassuming. Ridiculous work ethic. Hey, Jamar, we got to go over here and do that. Okay, got it. Do it. No questions, no fuss, no prima donna, no, hey, I ain't going to class, man. I'm this, I got this. None of that. Just rock solid, right? Rock solid in everything that he does. Gets great grades. Really good dude. Good teammate. Never an issue off the field, like most of our guys. And he's amazing at just continuing to get better and better and better and understanding what we're doing, you know. And now I think that what you're finding is he has so much more of a feel for what we're doing, how we're doing it, how the plays are run, that he's just not thinking anymore, not really, you know, trying to figure it out. He's just playing, you know, and he's super electric. And, you know, I think he's like one of the top kids in the country in all-purpose yards, right? So, I mean, we are trying to get him to rock, you know, and but I think what you have to be able to do is you have to say, okay, well, these are the things that they have seen. What haven't they seen? You know, can you do this with them? Can you do that with them? Where can you put them? Where can you move them? Without overloading his plate and coming back to, well, now he's really thinking and he's not playing as fast. So we've incorporated him in the pass game and in the runs. He's gotten, he got to rock a lot. He got it in the second half when we were moving the ball pretty well.
Coach, I was just curious about two guys that Coach Collins mentioned, and James Blackstrain, kind of where he's at in terms of his development, and then also Chaden Perry.
Yep. So all I hear is I'm on the other field, right? I'm inside, they're outside, and all I hear is, oh, you know, the offensive guys yelling. And a lot of those are Blackstrain or Jamal Haynes and Chaden throwing the ball around. You know, really, really positive with both of those guys. You know, James came in, he was coming off the injury. He was still kind of feeling his way back. Second half of the season, he's been really electric. He's got a great feel for being a receiver. He's got super hands, but great body control. He's got good length. He moves like a wideout, you know, and he could go up and make plays. I mean, that young group of receivers is going to be really special. And then Jaden, up to this point, has been down there spinning that thing around on the scout team, and sits in the meetings and just kind of absorbs things and that type of thing. And but the thing that I love with him is he's a super accurate thrower, and he has great poise in the pocket, knows where he wants to go with the ball. He had a really good day today, spinning it around. Threw a few balls in Skelly that were like, all right. It was worth that trip out to California to go see it, and I think he's going to be a really good player.
All right. Good. Thank you, Coach Patenaude.
Thanks, guys.